Hey, it's Rick Kettner here. Let's explore 5 of the very best productivity books. If you've ever felt like there just isn't enough time in the day, or that no matter how many tasks you mark off of your to-do list, there's always more to be done. There seems to be a never-ending list of things that you need to accomplish. Well, if that's the case, these books can help. Now, the unfortunate reality is that many people today feel overwhelmed, stressed, and even anxious when it comes to dealing with the pace of work today. So if any of those symptoms are things that you've experienced, you're not alone, and the books here can not only help you catch up and feel like you're managing the pace of work, but can also help you get ahead in life and really feel like you have more control in your schedule. Now, if you're interested in other business-related topics like entrepreneurship, digital marketing, or even leadership, I do have other reading lists that cover my favorite books in those topics and several others. So be sure to subscribe and check the episode description box down below for links if you're interested in any of those topics. But with that said, let's dive into the list, beginning with The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's easy to make the mistake of measuring productivity based solely on the amount of time or energy that we are investing. However, at the end of the day, productivity comes down to the results that we are creating, not the time or the energy that it takes to create those results. So it's very important to recognize that it's quite possible to spend a significant amount of time or energy working on a task or project, and yet having very little to show for it. So The One Thing is all about how to increase your results through focus and prioritization. It's all about getting very clear on the one thing that you must accomplish on any given day in order to make everything else in your life that much easier. So you want to have total clarity around what'll give you maximum leverage in your life that can then contribute to simplifying other areas of your life. So ultimately, it's about cutting through the noise, getting clear on what truly matters, and achieving bigger results. Now, it might seem counterintuitive to try to increase your productivity by achieving less. And this is especially the case if you have a never-ending list of things that you must do, and at the same time, you feel that every single thing on the list is equally important. That can make this seem counterintuitive or unlikely to work, but it's very important to recognize that not all tasks are equally important, and there are things on your list that have far greater leverage to improve your life, to create value for others, to move your career forward, or whatever your specific goal might be. And so this book is all about getting very clear on those things that give you maximum leverage so that you can simplify your life and you can create superior results. Because at the end of the day, superior results require focus and prioritization. So if you feel like you're being pulled in a million different directions, that you have so many things that you need to work on, and there's not enough time to get it all done, this is an absolute must-read for you. Next on the list is Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. Today, we are more distracted than ever before. Between mobile app notifications, social media updates, and even just unlimited access to the internet and all the information and news that is just a click away, it's very difficult to be focused and make effective use of our work time, especially when we start to develop unhealthy habits or even addictions around checking things like social media or our email or other digital distractions like that. So digital minimalism is about how to take back control of how we use technology. It's all about being very intentional about not only enjoying the benefits of technology, but also mitigating common pitfalls. In my opinion, this is one of the most important books that you can read, especially if you find yourself endlessly scrolling through social media or refreshing your email inbox, or even just being distracted by notifications and alerts on either your mobile device or on your work computer, where you simply cannot really manage extended periods of focused work due to constant digital distractions. So if any of those situations apply to you, then I highly recommend that you pick up a copy of this book. Next up is Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. The issues that we just discussed around digital addiction go well beyond simply the time and energy that we waste when engaged with those kinds of activities. And the reason is simple. When we really form habits or routines around checking these kinds of devices, or being distracted, or multitasking, or jumping between various activities, these kinds of things can negatively affect our ability to focus for extended periods of time. So even when the mobile device is put away and the notifications are disabled, we can still struggle when it comes to simply channeling our energy into one activity for an extended period of time. We become accustomed to constant interruptions. So with that in mind, it's very important to look for opportunities to engage in what is called a flow state. This is a period of time where you're fully immersed in a single project or a single activity. Time seems to just stand still, and you're fully engaged in exactly what it is that you're working on, and you're less prone to distraction and less likely to have your attention pulled in different directions. And in all likelihood, you've experienced this at some point in your life. Some will have experienced it more often than others, but it tends to occur when you're fully engaged in a very specific thing like reading or writing, or perhaps trying to solve a very difficult problem, where you're finding that happy balance between something that you're making progress on, but is still difficult or challenging enough to require your full attention. Now, the concept of flow was first popularized and named by author Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. In this book, he explains how flow works, how to get into flow, and how flow relates to productivity and even happiness. Because when we're in a flow state, not only are we getting more done in most cases, but also we have greater satisfaction because we're finding that balance between a difficult challenge and making consistent progress while we're in that flow state. And when we're finished, we have this sense of satisfaction with how we spent our time and what we were able to accomplish. Now, this book pairs very well with digital minimalism, because if you can make an effort to identify points in time where you're wasting your time and energy with digital distractions, and if you can replace those mindless activities with flow state experiences, you can not only increase your productivity, but also, again, your satisfaction and happiness as a result of how you've spent your time. Next on the list is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's not easy to change our daily routines. This is the nature, both the blessing and the curse of how habits work. On the one hand, once we establish a healthy habit, the more consistent we are with that habit, the easier and easier it gets to be to maintain that habit over time. And yet, on the other hand, the same is true when it comes to unhealthy habits. The longer we maintain an unhealthy habit, the more difficult it is to break that habit. So regardless of whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, they tend to automate much of what we do in life. And so if we're not careful, we can end up with habits that are unproductive, and it can be very difficult to change them. Now, Atomic Habits is all about how to establish good habits and how to break bad ones. It can help us adjust our daily routines to be more intentional, more productive, and more rewarding. Now, this is easier said than done, and if you've ever tried to change a habit before, you know how just incredibly difficult it can be, but that's exactly why a book like this is so helpful. It's packed with actionable advice when it comes to, again, both building positive habits and breaking negative habits. And in my personal opinion, I think this skill of being able to intentionally modify your habits is one of the single most, if not the single most powerful skill that we can possibly acquire. Because if we truly have the ability to make meaningful changes in how we spend our valuable time, then it makes it easier for us to accomplish almost anything in life. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you have for goals or dreams, if you aren't able to establish the habits and routines to make consistent progress towards those goals and dreams, then you're really not likely to succeed. Whereas if you can adjust your routines around the things that you want to accomplish, you're far more likely to be successful. The last book on the list is Your Brain at Work by David Rock. Two of the most valuable traits in business today include, number one, being able to do very creative work, and number two, being able to collaborate effectively with other people. Now, unfortunately, as we mentioned earlier in this episode, many people today are dealing with overwhelm, stress, and anxiety as a result of trying to keep up with the pace of work today. And as a result, they're less creative and they're more likely to get into conflict when trying to cooperate or collaborate with other people that they're working with. Now, Your Brain at Work explains how to boost productivity, collaboration, and creativity by understanding how the brain operates. It's all about getting very clear on the limitations and the strengths of how our minds work so that we can work more effectively and be more productive. And it's a very interesting and very approachable book that covers many different examples of both the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things so that you can very easily apply the many insights in this book within your regular daily life. And the first half of the book focuses quite heavily on personal productivity, whereas the second half focuses more on how to better manage other people or how to better collaborate with others by, again, understanding how the brain works. So just an absolute must read if you're seeking to be more productive or if you're trying to improve your ability to collaborate and work with others. Anyway, those are 5 of the very best productivity books that you can read. Again, if you're interested in other business-related topics like digital marketing, leadership, product management, startups, or entrepreneurship, I do have dedicated reading lists that cover my favorite books on those subjects and several others, and I'll link those up for you down in the description box below. That's it for this episode. If you have any questions or comments about anything that we covered here, let me know down in the comment section. And be sure to subscribe and visit rickkettner.com if you're interested in discovering more of the best business books. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting with you again in the future.